Hello, my friends. I am sure you have all seen or maybe even read a Chick tract. Sadly, Jack Chick passed away in October of 2016, but his legacy lives on. If you can call his brand of peddling lies and fear-mongering a legacy, but I digress. Jack Chick has a YouTube page which is almost as absurd as the comics. Today, we get to learn about the Baphomet. Just a quick announcement, whenever I am responding to videos that use interpretation of esoteric symbols, such as the Baphomet, I am well aware that individuals may interpret this icon from a different perspective than my own. In order to argue my position concerning symbols, I use the author's interpretation only. It does not mean there is only one way to read the symbolism in the Baphomet. It has gained popularity and a common place in our culture today. With that out of the way, let's see how David Daniels from Chick Publications interprets this icon.
When I was a teenager, I was sucked into the occult.
I just love the hyperbolic and emotionally charged language these religious bigots use. He was sucked into the occult, as if he was at high school minding his own business when suddenly a huge vacuum sucked him up and then forced his eyes open as he read a book on magic or witchcraft. Beware the sucking tubes.
Many of you already know that, even my oldest friends. But what you may not know is what pulled me in.
Let me guess. Money? Drugs? Sex? Power? What sucked you into the occult? Ooh, was it heavy metal music? Dungeons and Dragons? I am sure you are going to try and distance yourself and shrug responsibility. But if this is true, it was your own curiosity that sucked you in. No one forced you to read a book.
It's a simple phrase, and yet it unlocked the doorway to the occult. Oh, and I recently found it in a commonly used Bible. Want to know what it was? And what it has to do with this?
I'm very curious. What do you think of the Satanic Temple's artistic redesign of the Baphomet icon?
Hi, I'm David Daniels from Chick Publications. I was going to Palm Springs High School, and a person my dad knew gave me a book. It was the writings of this guy, Hermes Trismegistus. That means thrice great, 3 times great.
I'm guessing you came from a religious household. I kind of doubt a friend of your father's gave you a book on the Emerald Tablet. But if they did, and you read it, it would have been a very short book. Did your father's friends suck you into the occult? Wait, that came out kind of weird.
This is his picture. And this is what it said he was. Kind of a blend of Hermes, or Mercury, the secretary of the gods, and Thoth, an Egyptian god that, among other things, was the god of astrology, the belief that the stars and the planets above influence your life below, and of alchemy, the belief that you can change ordinary metals into solid gold.
Hermes Trismegistus was almost certainly a fictional character, and alchemy had a very important role in the development of modern chemistry. When the superstitious trappings were taken off of alchemy and the scientific method began to grow in popularity, alchemy became the science of chemistry.
Or make a liquid that can dissolve anything, cure all diseases, and make you live forever.
I am sure the puffers of old had very high hopes, and they created more than just fool's gold. Alchemy was very important in the development of metallurgy, medicine, and later chemistry.
Now, that's appropriate, actually, because what I learned was a single phrase that is based on something called the Emerald Tablet from this guy. It's also the basis of Hermetic science. 4 words. As above, so below.
Why are you showing us pictures? If you are quoting these books, why not just read them to us? Unless you want to control the narrative and share only certain details while leaving out others.
Those 4 words put me on a path. You start to take it apart and see what it means. It's like peeling an onion. Lots and lots of layers.
It means, as above, so below.
just like the occult. First, it means that things on the earth below come from or are affected by things above, like the stars and the planets. That's astrology, among other things.
Astrology is a good example of the axiom as above, so below. Now, here comes that interpretation on my part. I can understand why you see it that way, David, but others may read as above, so below as an expression of relatedness and reflection of the cosmos and man, an understanding that changes to oneself reflects changes in the outer world. There are many ways to describe this axiom. Esotericism is the opposite of dogma, and each person reads and understands it differently. Here is a translation of the entire Emerald Tablet by Sir Isaac Newton. "'Tis true without lying, certain and most true. That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below, to the miracles of one only thing. And as all things have been and arose from one by the meditation of one, so all things have their birth from this one thing by adaptation. The sun is its father, the moon its mother. The wind hath carried it in its belly, the earth its course. The father of all perfection in the whole world is here. Its force or power is entire, if it be converted into earth. Separate thou the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross, sweetly, with great industry. It ascends from the earth to the heaven, and again it descends to the earth and receives the force of things superior and inferior. By this means you shall have the glory of the whole world, and thereby all obscurity shall fly from you. Its force is above all force, for it vanquishes every subtle thing and penetrates every solid thing. So was the world created. From this are and do come admirable adaptations, whereof the means or process is here in this. Hence I am called Hermes Trismegistus, having in 3 parts of the philosophy of the whole world. That which I have said of the operation of the sun is accomplished and ended." From Dobbs, 1988, page 183 to 184. That's it. That's the entire Emerald Tablet. There are several translations, but it is not a very long book. Also, and again, my interpretation, as above, so below can be read into this Baphomet image. However, if we read the text of Eliphas Levi concerning the hands, he writes, "The hands are human to exhibit the sanctity of labor. They make the sign of esotericism above and below, to impress mystery on initiates. And they point at 2 lunar crescents, the upper being white and the lower black, to explain the correspondence of good and evil, mercy and justice." From Transcendental Magic, Eliphas Levi, explanation of the figures, page XXII.
Second of all, you find out it has to do with gaining and having power or realizing your true potential.
If that's what you get from this image, okay. True potential, sure, I could see that. Gaining power, not sure if that is what Eliphas Levi was writing about. Christians, like you, keep making references to liberations of the mind and free thinking, as if this is supposed to be a bad thing.
At that point, you might get spirit guides, but how do you know if those spirit guides are good or evil?
Spirit guides? Where are you getting this from? I know there are people who believe in spirit guides, but from where are you drawing this connection? Neither the Emerald Tablet nor Levi, on speaking of the Baphomet, mentions anything about spirit guides.
Spoiler! If it says it's going to teach you secrets that give you power, it's evil. God doesn't do things that way. But I didn't know that. So spirit guides, that's what happened to me.
Oh, you got into spirit guides. Ah, okay. That makes sense. I was wondering where you got this from.
Then, seeking power leads to new religious beliefs. Look at the colors. Black and white. That's on purpose. Black and white take on new meanings. They're opposites, above and below, good and bad, masculine and feminine. They say you cannot have one without the other.
This image is from around 1854. They made wood prints and had only one tone, black ink on white paper. Eliphas Levi goes on to describe the colors this image would have. The belly of the goat is scaled and should be colored green. The semicircle above should be blue. the plumage reaching to the breast should be of various hues. So no, it was not made black and white on purpose, but instead due to printing limitation. I am sure if he could, he would have made the image in multiple colors, but it just wasn't feasible. And no, they do not say you cannot have one without the other. They point at two lunar crescents, the upper being white and the lower black, to explain the correspondences of good and evil, mercy and justice. It is recognizing them, that there is good and evil, mercy and justice. They also tie into the Kabbalah.
That means you cannot have evil without the good, or good without evil.
You are trivializing this so oddly. Recognizing that there is good and evil, justice and mercy, does not mean one cannot exist without the other.
Then it means even more. Since evil and good are simply opposites, then one is not better than the other. Yin and yang, man and woman, white and black, good and bad, they're all the same. That would mean there really is no bad then. There's just what works for you and what doesn't work for you. That's what the Baphomet, is really all about. Nobody believes it's a real creature. It's all symbols.
What the hell are you smoking? Eliphas Levi writes nothing about they are the same thing. They are clearly in juxtaposition to each other. He places no value on one being better than the other. I don't know where you are getting this from. If that was what the Baphomet image was really about, why didn't Eliphas Levi explain that in his description of the figure? All you do is show us pictures and then give your interpretation, sometimes not even related to the picture you are showing us.
Right arm, masculine, up, white crescent moon, solve, dissolve a solid into a liquid. Left arm, feminine, down, black crescent moon, coagula, turn a liquid into a solid. That is alchemy.
Here's where it gets a little tricky when dissecting esoteric imagery, so I will try and tread cautiously. The expression solid coagula is an alchemical expression written on the forearms, but the arms are not male and female. The upper hand could be associated with female traits and the lower hand male traits on the Kabbalah tree.
And there's lots more here. Eliphas Levi's translator used it to make the Devil Tarot card. Oh, on his forehead, there's an upright pentagram.
Oh no, avert your eyes, Doreen Virtue. It's a pentagram.
I was afraid of witchcraft. The pentagram scared me. And
then there's the flame. Taken together, it means he has the keys to enlightenment. This whole mess is what they call the path of enlightenment. Sounds pretty dark to me.
How could a torch that illuminates the dark be... Whatever. This is what Eliphas Levi wrote concerning the torch in the pentagram below it. The torch placed between the two horns represents the equilibrating intelligence of the triad. On its forehead, between the horns and beneath the torch, is the sign of the microcosm, or the pentagram, with one beam in the ascendant, symbol of human intelligence, which, placed thus below the torch, makes the flame of the latter an image of divine revelation. But if you read that it means he has the keys to enlightenment, okay, not sure how you get this, as this is not what Eliphas Levi wrote, and who is calling this a path?
But then they tell you, if you are one of the very elect, and Hermes Trismegistus's book says that very word, elect. If you are one of the elect, then you'll be let in on even more secrets.
Instead of showing us images, why don't you show us the text where you are getting this from? The Emerald Tablet mentions nothing about the elect.
Then you can rise above all this and receive true enlightenment. But to get that done, you have to conquer the light bearer.
What? Oh, this is just amazing. What a fascinating interpretation you have of these books. Please, explain more.
Now that's right here in the occultic writings of this guy who drew the Baphomet and described it. This is Eliphas Levi. That's also in the famous Masonic writings of this guy, Albert Pike, who wrote Morals and Dogma. Of course, that's also in the Masonic writings of this old cute eyes himself, Manly P. Hall, in The Secret Teaching of All Ages. You can see that yourself.
Where exactly in the writings of Albert Pike and Manly P. Hall, where they wrote that you can rise above all of that and receive enlightenment? And please, don't show us a picture.
So yeah, you have to conquer the light bearer in order to get the power that he hides. But who is the light bearer? In Latin, that's what? Lucifer.
Stop showing us pictures. We can fucking read. Show us the direct quotes in context. Who says you have to conquer the light bearer? And what does that even mean?
In my occultic books, including my Unity Dictionary from the Unity School of Christianity, as it's called, it says that Lucifer isn't Satan. Satan is bad thinking, but Lucifer brings light and enlightenment. Then they say that you can master the secrets to, get this, conquer the light bearer Lucifer, and then you can have the powers that he hides.
Who says this? There are two quotes that evangelical bigots such as yourself like to take out of context from Albert Pike and Manly P. Hall. I wonder if these are the quotes he may be referring to.
That is what the Baphomet is really all about. If you read Should a Christian Be a Mason, you can find out more about Baphomet. Nowadays, Satanists and they use Baphomet all over the place. Look at this. Here's Popular Culture.
Many Masons are Christian, and in my humble opinion, they make better Christians than some of you I have met online. And the image of Baphomet, as well as being copyright free, has made an impression on our culture, popping up in comics, art, movies, music, basically any media. Like I mentioned earlier, this icon today has grown well beyond an alchemical image drawn by Eliphas Levi.
Look at all that merchandise. And so does, look at these singers, all pushing Baphomet in their various ways. And don't leave the kids out. That's actually on a kids show, and that's a satanic book there.
Much of that symbolism in art and music are projections of you and other conspiratorial nutjobs. The coloring book was created by the Satanic Temple to counter a Christian after-school program. The Baphomet has become a cultural icon. Those who adapt it often placed meaning on it that was not originally intended, but that is how it goes. And so now this goat of Mendez represents various things to various people.
All right, so what is the secret of Baphomet? That good and evil are two sides of the same coin. The light side and the dark side of the force, if you will. Get it? So God and Satan would also be the same thing. Isn't that what Satan wanted? To be worshipped as a god? Yeah. So to the most enlightened or illuminated people, it goes one step further. They say that Lucifer, who offered the knowledge of good and evil, was really good. And God, who said, you can't eat from that tree, was really bad. And now you know their secret.
No, the people who make Satan out to be a god are people like you, David. Eliphas Levi wrote nothing about good and evil being the same side of the coin. Actually, the opposite. And he mentioned nothing about the light side and the dark side of the force. You have some fascinating interpretations of this image.
How do people on that path let other people know that they're on that path? Code words. One of the simplest, of course, is those 4 words. As above, so below. What upside down thinking, right? God has a lot to say about that kind of thing. In Isaiah 5, verse 20, in the Holy Word of God, it says,
Oh, so now you're going to start reading from a book you are referencing. For a second there, I thought you were illiterate. Glad I was wrong.
Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. And then it says in verse 21, Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight.
Eliphas Levi wrote nothing about them being the same thing, nor was that in the Emerald Tablet. You know, instead of showing us pictures, you could just read what these authors wrote.
Oh, and that other Bible I told you about? See this guy? His name is Eugene Peterson. He put together this Bible called the Message Bible.
Do they have a picture book Bible you could read, David?
Look at his Lord's Prayer in Matthew chapter 6. Instead of hallowed be thy name, it says, reveal who you are. Why? Is God hiding? Do we have to reveal him?
Yes, he is hiding. We've been playing a 3,000-year game of hide-and-go-seek with God, and he's won every single time. I've never seen him, heard him, or been touched by him. And frankly, that is kind of creepy. I don't want him to touch me.
Then, instead of saying, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven, the Message says, do what's best, as above, so below. Look at that. There's those code words. So why did he use them if they're not really in the text?
They are not code words. Thy will be done on earth as in heaven sounds more like code for as above, so below to me. As in heaven, so on earth would be another way of putting it. But in context, is this what the author wants to convey? You are so busy focusing on the differences that you are blind to the similarities. Eliphas Levi was a very religious man. He even became a Catholic priest before leaving the church. He believed in a higher power. He believed in God.
What kind of message is he sending? And to whom? Black and white are not two sides of the same force.
You are correct. They are not. All you are doing is strawmanning these authors and throwing in your impressions of these concepts and completely ignoring the actual text.
God and whatever God wants is good. Disobeying God is evil, plain and simple. And Baphomet is a symbol of rebelling against God, no matter what way you may define it.
I could see projecting rebellion onto the Baphomet image, but this would be a modern interpretation in addition to what the actual author wrote.
I want to obey God, so I'm sticking with what God said in my King James Bible. God bless you, and have a wonderful day.
This guy is so creepy. There is so much information on the internet around the Baphomet image. I would suggest going to the source, to Eliphas Levi first, so that you have a baseline understanding of this image and its meaning. After that, other meanings projected onto this you can see more clearly. That is it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you in hell, you heathens.